Hey everybody, OCD Mikey here, and I am going to go over a few things with you guys that I just wanted to try and make things easier, because I know it's super confusing for people who are trying to sort of understand the whole hi-fi thing. And so I thought I would break this down into 5 separate levels, I guess, if you will, or types of music listener. Okay, so you can maybe sort of pick where you are and decide how far you want to go, because a lot of times people that are maybe at the beginning part of the thing and just really don't want to go any further end up listening to hi-fi freaks, and then they get confused and they start putting fuses and weird crap into their rig, and it becomes a mess. Okay, there are certain things that are for certain levels or for certain people that, and if you can just kind of keep your bearings straight, you're going to be fine. Because there's a lot of BS to weed through in this industry, as you all know. It is, in fact, mostly BS. So you have to weed through all of that stuff. You have to realize there's a lot of companies that are vying for your dollars. And they have a system, and it works, and it's worked for a long time, and they have a lock on it, and they'll keep it going, and you're going to keep getting taken for your money and scratching your head and going, where's the magic? Because this hi-fi thing that I hear about is supposed to be magic, and I'm not getting any magic. Okay, well, I know how to find the magic, I know where it is, and I know how to bring it to you. And my reason here is, my purpose here is to try and make it simpler for you. Okay, so let's break it down into 5 different levels of music listening. Okay, so you just get a better kind of a grip on it. The first one, number 1, is going to be a music listener. Okay, you're either a music listener or you're not. You either like to have music all the time on in the background, or you just don't give a crap. You know, if you're a music listener, your car radio is always on, you're singing along, you know your favorite songs, but that's pretty much the extent of it. It's like the backdrop for your life. It's kind of in the background all the time, but it's really sort of just there, and it's just kind of like you don't really focus on it at all. It's just kind of there, and it's just a thing. You like to have music around because it's better than silence. Silence drives you nuts, so you use music to fill up the silence. That is, now those, the rig you have, the system, it doesn't matter. You could have a Sonos, you can have your Bluetooth thing, those are all totally cool for you, okay? The idea is to just get music everywhere, right? Have it with you wherever you are. It's easy enough with cell phones these days and little Bluetooth, like cool little JBL little pod things that are like small and have pretty good sound to them. And hey, you can enjoy music wherever the hell you are, and it's cool. You have music with you. I'd say level 2, and these are just approximations. These are things that I've come up with. I'm not trying to draw hard lines and tell you this is this line and then you cross into this line. It's not a rigid thing, okay? This is just something to maybe help you understand a little bit more, or give some sort of a format or lines to where people are. So that's music listener, okay? Your rig doesn't matter. You just want music with you wherever. So what I talk about here, it's not even for you. It doesn't even matter. It's just going to seem crazy. It's going to seem stupid. It's going to seem too far-fetched. So for a music listener, that's not I'm the wrong guy for a music listener. We can enjoy music together, and you'll shit your pants if you ever hear a system like mine, or other people out there, but you're happy with music listening. The next level, I would say, let's call it music aficionado. Okay, so that's number 2 level, music aficionado. Now, music is very important to you, okay? So you know all about the bands that you like. You know their history. You know who was in the band. You know trivia about different bands. You know a lot about music. You're a music lover, music aficionado, I would say. And your gear or your system is important to you at this point. At this point, quality is important. And you want to hear the music in all its glory. You really want to enjoy it. So you're going to have like a mid-fi system. This is going to be like a NAD or a Marantz or, some of the Japanese brands usually, and like a receiver or some of the new stuff now. They're starting to do hi-fi components again, like they used to in the old days, where they do a preamp and power amps and that kind of stuff. I'd say in this area, be a little careful because you can easily extend yourself into hi-fi territory with some of the new prices on the Japanese mid-fi. And you could really do much better if you knew more about hi-fi and you just bought some used, hi-fi, real hi-fi. You could spend the same amount of money and have way better performance because the Marantz, the NADs, all that stuff, that's all just kind of good performance, okay? It means you care more than the guy that doesn't care, but not as much as the person that's like an audiophile or whatever, So you have a nice little setup. You have Klipsch speakers, maybe some that are older, Heritage Series, the older ones, which are a phenomenal buy, by the way. And I fully recommend somebody at this level buy those at the garage sales or whatever. You can pick them up for the hundreds of dollars, and you get some old Heresies or some old Fortes, Forte 2s, things like that. Those are great value speakers. And then you can even pick up the vintage receivers and stuff like that and really have a killer little system. Maybe you collect vinyl or you have some vinyl, and it's more of just like it's like a hobby thing. You're just the music people. Now, I really like the music people because I love the music. I'm in this for the music before the gear, but I get along very well with music aficionados because I am not exactly totally one, because I don't know all the trivia, right, about the bands, but I did work at a record store when I lived in Venice Beach. I worked at Penny Lane Records and Tapes. Met Rick Rubin there, by the way, and back when he was a huge old dude, man, with black beard and black hair. Anyways, so that was fun. Okay, record store, whatever. I learned a lot of things there from true music aficionados, but these guys would not be hi-fi weirdos like I am. So that's about the second level. Good gear and just really, really, really into music. The next level I would call like a hi-fi connoisseur, okay? So hi-fi connoisseur, now you're going to stretch it beyond the Marantz and the NAD and different things like that. Now you're starting to go for the names that most people don't know about, that you only know about if you read the hi-fi magazines and stuff like that. And there's going to be two different, I like to divide it into two sort of A and B underneath the hi-fi connoisseur. And one is going to be more of like the intellectual hi-fi connoisseur who's going to make like smart purchases and have a clean, simple system and completely understand each purchase they made and be completely firm about each purchase they made and okay with it and confident about what they bought. They're going to have maybe a couple room panels. You're going to do maybe some equipment isolation with the cones or some sort of isopuck or whatever. You're going to be out of mid-fi, but into hi-fi, but not going balls to the wall. You're just going to be like making conservative purchases into the hi-fi world. So like used gear that you know is good. Now, another thing to remember when you're at this level is that used higher end gear is much better than brand new lower end gear in the hi-fi realm. So a used, and actually some of the older stuff is better than the newest. For instance, old Macintosh, way better than new Macintosh. Old Audio Research, way better than new Audio Research. Old Focal, totally better than new Focal. They all get petered out eventually when someone buys the company and it turns into an investment, blah, blah, blah. You guys know the pitch, okay? So at this stage of the game, if you're making smart decisions, another smart thing to do is get the help of somebody who can advise you, okay? I don't recommend just the standard guy down in the corner dealer. The dealers that are brick and mortar dealers are going to sell you whatever the hell they have in their store right now because they buy inventory and they sit on inventory and they want to move whatever the hell they have, okay? Many of them are just businessmen, and that's fine. They've got a good business plan, you know? They can have fun, you know? They listen to music. Other dealers or sellers are audiophiles. I'm a typical example. I am a dealer. I do sell. I do manufacture. And I'm a weirdo about it. So I've set up rigs. I exhibit, you know, I have exhibited for the last 20 years, set up, I don't know how many hundreds upon hundreds of rigs in weird hotel rooms and make them sound good. So I'm getting off the subject, but, you know, so the hi-fi connoisseur, the first one is like the intellectual one that's like makes then there is the sad guy, I call them. Okay, these are the guys that really know the names of the gear. They really love music. They really want to get into the hi-fi spirit of everything, but they do not trust themselves to make the decision. This is a big problem, okay? Because what happens is, first of all, any dealer who is somewhat aloof is going to realize that they can talk this person into just about anything, is going to sell them shit they don't need. They're going to sell them what they have, whatever. They're going to push as far and get as much juice out of them as they can. They're going to squeeze them, okay? Because these people aren't confident enough to make their own decisions, so they let other people make their decisions. They sort of want other people to make their decisions for them. So, but what happens is they end up with a bill of goods that does not do what they want it to do. They end up spending a lot of money in many cases because they don't know any better. They think they need to spend a lot of money to get the good stuff, so they spend it. They're willing to do it, and they get taken advantage of. This is one of my pet peeve areas. I get pissed when people talk to me and they tell me, and they're just these nice guys, and, you know, and they're just maybe not firm, okay? And so they get taken advantage of. And I just see a nice guy who wants to have hi-fi and who maybe just, man, there's so many different people can be at so many different points in their life. It could be after something bad happens. Maybe they lost a loved one or something like that, and they're just maybe not as ballsy as the next guy that is like on top of the world feeling, you know, so they get sometimes get taken advantage of. So another feature of the sad guy, I call him, is because they're not firm and they listen to others, they don't pick one person. So they're going to listen to this guy at this store, then they're going to call up this guy at this store, then they're going to call the manufacturer and talk to somebody at the manufacturer, and they're going to get so freaking confused that they want to give up. But they see everybody else enjoying it, but they're not enjoying it, so they're sad or bummed out or frustrated, and they're like, why the hell does everyone else seem to be having so much fun, and I feel like I'm sucking ass here because my gear isn't doing what I want it to do. I spent the dough on the expensive amps or the expensive speakers or whatever, and I'm not, what's going wrong here? Many of the dealers are going to sell you just a bill of goods and not know how to even put your rig together. They're not even going to ask you about your room or what other gear you have or what your experience is with hi-fi. So they don't even know. They just sell you some shit and then you leave and they don't even call to follow up. They're just like, you know, and it's up to you to figure out how to put it together. So what are you going to do? You're going to go on the forums, try and figure it out. You're going to get totally ill-advised and like 18 different know-it-alls that are going to try and tell you what to do. And then you're screwed. You're absolutely screwed. These people, if you are like this, you need to find an advocate or a guru and stick with that one guru. It's like, look, you're doing martial arts. You're going to choose Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or you're going to choose karate, or you're going to choose what Kempo, or whatever the hell, you know? And you want to stick to that discipline. Stick to that discipline. Keep your same sensei, the same dojo. You're going to learn something. You will become a trained ninja or whatever the hell, right? If you just stick to the one sensei and go to the one dojo. Same thing with hi-fi. Pick one, somebody that you trust, Stay with them. They will, if they're worth their salt, if they're a black belt master, okay, they're going to get you there. There's a lot of posers out there. There's a lot of people that say they're black belts, okay? You need to check up on them. Ask them the right questions. Find out a little bit about them. Ask them what their rig is at home, what their rig is like. You can find out a sniveler, like, immediately, a couple questions, and I can figure out exactly how much someone knows and doesn't know about hi-fi. I should teach that in another video. Maybe I will. Another quality of this, or another characteristic of the sad guy, is just buying the name brands that are the popular ones that you see in the magazines. They somewhat do that, okay? They think that if they take the step and buy the big name brand, that's going to bring them the happiness. And it doesn't. They just don't know yet, you know? For instance, an example of that is they would think Macintosh or Audio Research or Focal, they would think those are end game products. Like, oh, I've reached nirvana when I buy those products. They don't know those are joke products, okay? Those are the things that people that don't know shit about hi-fi buy, okay? Those are the things that people who rely on the dealer to tell them what to buy purchase. Anybody in the know does not buy Macintosh, does not buy Focal, does not buy Audio Research. I could go on and on. Does not buy Magico, okay? Whatever you S5 owners. I'm not going to go into it. I'm not going to go into it. You want to spend $100,000 on a speaker and then watch me kick its ass for 20 grand? Let's do it. You know, and again, any of this stuff I like to tease, but I'm serious. I will put my money where my mouth is. I will go have a competition, a shootout, and I will put my money where my mouth is. And you'll be surprised. I will embarrass people that think that they know what the hell is going on with these big names. Also, no patience. The unhappy person feels compelled, if they can't wait for the person that's their guru, they'll buy something on the sideline and totally screw up the plan. And then the guru gets upset or pissed and just washes his hands. He just says, whatever. I can't deal with you. You're either going to stick with me or you're going to jump all over the place, but I can't work with somebody that's jumping around to other sellers, because every seller is going to tell you something different. They're all going to have a different method or a different group of these speakers go with that, with this, and with that. Not being patient in hi-fi, you're going to get spanked for not being patient. Guys that know what's up are patient. We wait around for our shit, okay? We know it takes time for excellence, and we don't demand it immediately. We don't get all uptight when it doesn't come on the damn date that they said it was going to come. Now, look, there's a fine line with this shit, okay? If I tell you it's going to come on Friday, and it doesn't ship on Friday, but it comes the Wednesday after or something like that, that's one thing. Okay, but there are also dealers that will feed you a crock of shit and say, oh, you need to pay me up front for something. First of all, get a deadline, understand what's going on, understand the whole situation. There's dealers that will take your money and 6 months later you still don't have your shit. That's messed up, okay? It should never be 6 months, unless you know that going in. Unless it's like, this is a hand-built piece, they're 6 months out, you know, you put your money in now and you wait 6 months, then fine, you know it. You know it up front, that's fine. So that's like in the hi-fi connoisseur level. Next step is audiophile. This is where most people get stuck, okay? And there is also an A and a B, an audiophile. Okay, so I'm going to start with the aficionado. Okay, so the audiophile aficionado is going to be an audiophile. Now, once you're an audiophile, you've committed to this thing, okay? You're going to go the long haul. You're going to get there. You want to get yourself to a level of, oh my God, type sound, okay? This means you're going to be over 50 grand for sure, okay? And probably between 50 and 100, okay, in there. And you don't care. You make it work, okay? It's audiophile, okay? So aficionados are going to research their gear, okay? These are people that are going to seek out the uncommon stuff. They're going to look for the names that are not common. Okay, there's plenty of them out there, and there are ways to seek out the gear that is the good stuff, and it's not the names that everybody knows. Okay, they are going to trust a guru implicitly to give them and to give them insight into different gear that they maybe haven't heard about. A aficionado, an audiophile aficionado is going to fully embrace cables, 100%. They understand cables make a difference. They understand it. They fully embrace it. They got their cable game together. Okay, so that's at this level. You're not wondering if cables make a difference. Okay, you're not skeptical about buying cables when you're at this level. You've already figured it out that does make a difference. Okay. Also at this level, you are going to have things figured out and completely taken care of, like your AC power. You're going to have dedicated lines run, okay, for your AC power. And most of this stuff you shouldn't do beforehand. If you're like a beginner dude that's like a, music aficionado, you don't need to run your damn freaking line, your AC line. Your stereo is going to sound freaking great to you, and it's you don't need to get weird about the shit, okay? Once you get into audiophile now and you're spending $100K on the rig or more, yeah, you want to have a dedicated line. You want to have a power filter that's not a conditioner. The conditioner is, look, here's the what divides the line. If the thing has a transformer in it, don't use it. If it doesn't have a transformer in it, then it's probably not going to limit the current going to your gear, okay? Once you put a transformer in it, like the Shinyata friggin' pyramid or the other pieces that have a transformer in it, the transformers are going to starve and make it dark and starve the dynamic. You can hear it. Take it out of the thing and put it in the wall, put it out. PS Audio Regenerator, whatever, regenerate this. You got a huge ass thing, and you've got a huge ass transformer in there. If it's like, look, I've listened to those things, the big massive ones that have the touch screen on front, and it's better in the wall. Now, if you're looking for something so that lightning doesn't take out your gear, get insurance. Jesus, get insurance on your rig. Lightning will take out your gear no matter what the hell's in there. If you get a direct hit on your house, it's going to jump whatever damn protection you have, and it's going to zap your gear, period. You're done. So what? You get new stuff. You had it insured. Big deal. It's a great thing. It could be a blessing in disguise. You know what I mean? You're going to get full replacement cost for it for maybe something you bought used. So party on. So you're going to, at this level, you understand AC power is important, okay? And so you fix your AC power. You're going to put more room. You're going to put bass traps in. You're not just going to throw a couple panels in like the step before. You're going to actually put in bass traps and understand what bass traps are. You're going to understand what they do. You're going to understand what a scatter plate does, or what the diffusion does rather than absorption. And you're going to put something into your room more substantial than what the previous level would, okay? You're going to get a little bit more. You're going to start to decipher the difference between mechanical grounding, like draining vibration out of your gear, and keeping it inside your gear with little like rubber things, okay? So there's a difference between the hard vibration isolation and the soft vibration isolation. There is a difference, and they do different things. So maybe you'll start to change it. You're going to have a little group of friends that you talk about. You guys are all doing the same thing. You're all audiophiles. You're in this level. You're going to understand the big names are a game. You're going to understand that you would never own anything Audio Quest. You would never own anything Nordost. You would never own anything Audio Research, Macintosh, unless it's the old stuff. You wouldn't be buying the new stuff. You understand that. Okay, so that explains the or one of the subgroups, subphylum, subgenres, or whatever, genus, species of the audiophile. The other one's a gear whore. Okay, this is unfortunately where a lot of people end up. Okay, they end up as a gear whore. You can easily go over 100K as a gear whore. You're gonna spend good money on stuff, and you are way too connected to the name of the shit. Okay, you're like a brand whore. You're gonna be buying all the names Magico and Constellation and you know, Mola Mola, or whatever the popular damn name is this month, okay? Whatever's in the reviews is the shit you're gonna buy, okay? That's a gear whore. A gear whore buys the shit that's in the reviews, okay? Because then they're gonna talk about, well, this is the shit that was just reviewed and blah, blah, blah. And they love to brag about their shit. They love to talk about how much it costs and what the name is, and anybody they can get to frickin' listen to them, they're gonna just babble on about their damn rig, okay? That's a gear whore. They love to show off their gear. They love to write down the thing, and it's their damn, it's like their resume, you know. Look at the gear that I have. They are constantly turning gear over, constantly. And every time they get it, they talk about how great this new piece is. So much better than the last one. It's like, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, fucking whatever, you know. If you knew what the fuck you were doing, you wouldn't be chasing your tail. You know, you'd be happy, okay? The thing is, you don't know what the hell you're doing, so you're just bouncing around, buying the stuff to get the people to go, oh. I mean, that's the whole reason you buy. You buy so that people are amazed or taken back by what you buy. And it's like, whatever. Go hang out with your little group and have your little circle spank about the names of the gear that you have, because some of those are the most expensive, shitty sounding systems you'll ever hear in your life. You'll know it, gear whore, when you go to their house and they've got all the names and they love to tell you, look at this and look at that and look at that, and then you listen and it sounds like shit. You can't listen for more than 15 minutes without excruciating fatigue, because it's just grinding on you and it doesn't sound like real music. It sounds like overly polished hi-fi dreck, you know? These guys have zero patience, okay? Zero patience. They don't want to wait for shit. They get a hard-on to buy something, they want to buy it today. And it's a joke. They also get taken advantage of because people know this, and they're like, yeah, well, I got the thing, and now I've got all the popular names. They're going to buy all the popular names. Now, these are the different level of names that are the popular names, like I just said. Constellation and, you know, Pilium, and I don't even know. That's some new thing that just came on. But these are all names that are just, they don't mean shit. They have, a lot of the companies are not that old. They're just like recent companies, but they're expensive as shit, so people think they're good. Maybe they can be good, okay? I kind of judge by who's selling it, okay? That's what I do. I know the people selling. So if I know this joker is selling that shit, it's not even on the radar for me. I'm just like, oh, that guy's selling it? Fuck it, you know? I don't even need to listen to it, just because of the representation. Other guys, you're like, whatever the hell he's selling, I don't care what the name of it is. This guy knows good sound. I'm into it. Let me listen. Let me hear what you got, buddy. And so this is an area that many people get stuck in, the whole gear whore thing, and it's a laugh to me. It's a laugh to any of us, like, that are either the aficionados, or, you know, or the OCD HiFi guys. We don't even involve ourselves once you're an OCD HiFi guy. So the sign of a gear whore is somebody that has all the brand names, but they don't know shit about hi-fi, because it sounds like crap in their room, okay? And they think it's great, and they try and tell you it's great. Listen how great it is, you know? And they're going to have the whole, they might as well hand you a sheet of what the gear is with all the prices next to it, so you can look, and then a total of how much the rig is at the bottom, you know? So these guys are good for the buck, you know? You can take them on a ride. I don't deal with those type of buyers. I deal with people who at least want some sort of value and really just are more about the music than the gear. The gear people, just not my thing. Other people can take care of them. Okay, which brings us to the fifth level. Fifth level is the top level. The fifth level is the most crazy, whacked out people, and that would be like me. They're OCD HiFi Guy level. OCD HiFi Guy. You might know one, an OCD HiFi Guy. Now, how do you know if you meet an OCD HiFi Guy? OCD HiFi Guy rarely talks about the rig. He's definitely not going to talk about it unless it comes up and someone asks him. It's just, you don't talk about your rig because nobody's going to freaking get it anyways. So you just don't talk about it. We hide the cost of our shit. We definitely don't tell how much things are. We hide it. We don't want people to know how much it costs because they're not going to understand it. They don't get us, okay? So we don't talk about it. We never brag about it. We don't talk about it. We rarely talk about the rig. We definitely don't talk about the prices. We look for bespoke one-off creations, handmade. We don't look, not only do we not look for brands, we don't want anything that is a production piece. Very few. MPD-8 is one of my DAC is one of the exclusions to that. Otherwise, I'm looking for one-off type things. If I know the designer, I'm going to ask them to do special things to my unit that they don't do to other ones. I'm going to say, push it over the edge. Do the things that you can't do on production pieces, and do that for mine, please. And they will, some of them, If they're close enough, they will. They know a couple things, a couple tricks up their sleeve that they can do to squeeze more out of it. Otherwise, you just go to the bespoke builder, the guy who builds to order, and you tell him what you want, okay? That's what we look for. I seek out brands. For OCD HiFi people, the more unknown it is, the more cool it is to us. If I've got something that nobody knows what it is, that's cooler to me than to have something that somebody recognizes. If somebody recognizes it, it's not exclusive enough. They recognize it. How the hell do you know about it? I thought I found the little old man in Torino that, sits there by the thing, that doesn't have any website or whatever, and hand winds his own transformers or whatever. So we want the things that people don't know what they are, okay? That's the OCD HiFi person. They don't look for brands or known anything. You want it unknown, bespoke, handmade, one-off. There's only one of these that exists. That's the kind of shit I look for. That's what makes me excited. Oh, this was the one that, what's his name, that Jeff Rowland did when he was, blah, 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 and he made one of these. Or, this is something that was made, it was the prototype before the thing was made, and there's, and they went over the top with it, and the other stuff now, they had to make it cheaper because that was too expensive. Whatever it is. Or someone just made this for me, I'm getting some speakers that are coming in that the guy knew the builder, and they had a good relationship, and he made a pair of speakers for this client of mine who traded them in to me. And he made them with special things that he didn't even do for the company that he worked for. He left the company and started his own company, and then started putting those tricks of the trade or whatever is his own special sauce into his own designs. But he did them for my client while he still worked for that company. So I got them from him. I'm like, absolutely, I'll take those on trade. Because that is a unique, one-of-a-kind thing. There's not one other else that exists in the world, and I want it, So that's a pair of speakers that I have coming. So that's what we seek out as OCD HiFi guys. The people that OCD HiFi people buy from, they are like, it's like, not only is it like a guru that you buy from, but it's like a professional, like a diamond broker. That's like how much you trust this person. You trust them that when they tell you something's provenance, you completely believe it. You don't have to check it. You don't need proof of anything. And you trust them implicitly. You'll give them 50, 60 grand on a word that they're going to give you something back in 3 weeks, in 3 months, in 3 years, whatever you agree to. But there is implicit trust for the OCD HiFi Guy between the people that they buy from and the people that buy the gear like that. Another characteristic of an OCD HiFi Guy is there is no tweak that is off limits. We will try absolutely any freaking tweak in the world. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a freaking bag of sand that has magical properties. It could be a thing that you put in the corner of the room and you plug it in. It doesn't make any noise or anything, but it affects the molecules of the air in the room, and the sound propagates in the room differently with that thing turned on than with that thing turned off. Because all the molecules in the air are going to have their free electrons spinning around or whatever the hell. I'm not a physicist, but there is weird shit in the tweak world that is hyper out there. You talk about cables being snake oil. Cables are going to be like freaking a Kleenex to you or something like that. You're going to be like, no, that's definitely for real. Cables are for real. Now we've got magic pebbles that you take. I'm not kidding you. There's a company that makes magic pebbles. They're quartz and little rocks that are piezoelectric and shit, and you have them in a little vial and you set them in your room. You can bring quartz clocks, people that will put 100 whatever, they'll bet on it, okay, that you're going to hear a difference if you grab a quartz alarm clock and bring it into your room, the little tick, 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 because the quartz in there vibrates to, a certain frequency, and it changes shit in the room or whatever, okay? There's crazy stuff. Let me just put it that way. There's crazy stuff, but we want to try it just to see, because we're willing to accept that anything is possible, okay? That's an OCD HiFi person. This is where you start putting fuses into your gear. This is where you start trying the signal grounds to isolate signal ground. If you're not OCD HiFi Guy, don't screw around with the signal ground bullshit. You're going to drive yourself freaking nuts if you start to go to that level before you're ready for it and before you're there. Your brain is going to go into squirrel flips trying to hear the difference and understand why people say it's so great. Man, you got to just put a line in the sand and say, look, I'm only going this far with tweaks at this point. If I want to go cuckoo into Cuckooville and be an OCD weirdo freak, then I'll do it. And then there's no price on anything, okay? There is no limit. There is no limit to the tweaks. There's no limit to the price. There's no limit to the time it takes to make it. As an OCD HiFi, you are excruciatingly patient. You will wait years for something that is going to be special. You do not rush a damn thing. You know better than rushing. You would be, if you don't lose your patience. You just don't rush anything. You know it takes time for excellence, and you don't rush excellence, okay? OCD HiFi people that are at the top of the game, just incredible patience, okay? You are looking for end game stuff. You want shit that is at the top of the level of it doesn't get any better in the world, okay? There is nothing better in the world type level. I desire no more after hearing this level of gear type stuff. I'm done through. This stuff has me so connected to the music. I can't even come up with words to describe the sound because I'm so connected with the music so instantly that it's not about sound. It's like you don't go into a jazz club, listen to a jazz musician playing and ask, well, how's the sound in here? What's the bass like? And all that shit. You don't talk about that. You're like, either you're moved emotionally by the music that's happening or you're not. You're connected to the music. You can't stop it. You're connected with that musician, that artist right there. That's what endgame stuff does, okay? So these guys calling $1,500 CD players, $6,000 Halo May bullshit as endgame, you're frickin' nuts. You guys have no frickin' clue what endgame is. You don't even have a sniff of it, okay? I'm getting one of those Hollow Springs, by the way, and I'm going to crush it right in front of your very eyes. Anyways, it's OCD HiFi. OCD Hi-Fi is at the level where you accept no shortcoming at all. You hear the furniture in the room, and you know when that coffee table needs to get the hell out of there. You can't have a coffee table. If you're OCD Hi-Fi Guy, you have nothing between you and the rig, ever, okay? You don't have it fitting around your living room furniture or anything like that. You have special racks that are meant for hi-fi only, and you have and you just don't use regular furniture. You don't. You have chairs that you've thought out well that do not go behind your ears. Your ears are above the chair so you can hear the back wave off the back wall. You hear artifacts in cheap DACs and with upsampling. You hear every little thing. You are not only, do you believe in cables and do you know the cables make a difference, but you take specific time and care to route your cables very well on elevation devices that keep them off the carpet, keep them away from a slab if you're on a slab. You're OCD, you're cracked, okay? This is your only hobby. You don't spend money on other shit because you don't have time for other shit. This is what you spend your time and your money on, is your hi-fi system. Now, these rigs will put you into an utter trance. My rig will put you into a hallucinatory trance. You will absolutely have no words for it. You'll be gobsmacked. You'll be sitting there like maybe a little bit nervous about what's happening in here, and I hope I can get my mind back from where it goes right now, because I'm going on a journey and I'm going around the bay in one day. Timothy Leary, ba 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 ba. Anybody know that Moody Blues song? If you do know, I'm proud of you if you got that reference, that right there. But so that's OCD Hi-Fi land. And okay, as an OCD Hi-Fi person, and this also as a gear whore too, sort of, you've got well, as a gear whore, you're gonna have a bunch of room, a bunch of extra gear. Maybe not, okay, because a gear whore is gonna have the stuff to talk about, but they're not gonna have stuff laying around necessarily. An OCD Hi-Fi guy is gonna have 3 or 4 rigs. Okay, we've got different rigs for different stuff. I've got the single-ended rig. I've got the balanced rig. I've got the one that has box speakers. I've got the one that has, planar speakers. They're different. You vary them on purpose so you can enjoy different types of sonic in different areas of the home. So you have 3 or 4 rigs. It's definitely not one rig. As an OCD Hi-Fi guy, you have 3 or 4. You have a horde of vacuum tubes, okay? You hoard the shit. Or other parts. If they're op amps or they're other things, you are concerned that they're going to go out of production, so you hoard them if they're good. And so pretty much every OCD Hi-Fi guy is going to have hoarded stuff. You're going to have 2 or 3 sometimes of the same piece, because if it goes out of production, you want to have a backup. So you bought 2 of those Studer, machines, Dale. And, you buy 2 of everything, Dale. And, so that's, another OCD Hi-Fi thing. You're going to go, you'll sit and you'll spend a whole day listening to power chords with your friend. Your friends that come over, it's not going to be like the 4th step, here in the 12-step program. No, but the fourth one is going to be like, you have guys over for the game and then you listen to hi-fi. When you get to OCD Hi-Fi level, you only have people over for hi-fi. That's all you're going to freaking do. And you're going to do it for like 5 hours. And one guy's going to be jumping around the room changing shit while the other guy's sitting there listening for the changes to tell you what to keep in, what to take out, and you're going to do that more than once. You're going to do it continually, because until you get your rig to that one point, you're just going to keep on doing it. So you're looking to get it to the end. You want to get your main rig to that point where every time you sit in it and every time you listen, it blows you away. I suppose it's like having a 12-cylinder Ferrari, like an old GTO or something just bad to the bone. You know, one of those $1 million, $2 million, $3 million Ferraris that are vintage, that have V12s and 12 carbs, you know, and just are like, oh, the sound of them and the thing, and every frickin' time you drive that thing, you're absolutely floored, blown away, stirred with emotion. You can't freaking contain your emotion. You got goosebumps. You're just like, oh, this experience is so real. And, you know, that's what the OCD HiFi rig is like. You turn it on, and every single time you're freaking blown away at how freaking good it sounds and how real everything is. Now you can just feel that person right there. And you're like, yeah. You know, I mean, it's just like, it's like the best, you know? And so that has replaced drugs in my life, kids. You know? So for real, it's like, nothing's better than that for me. I love music. I love music. It feeds my soul. And when I go to a show, my core shit is blues rock. When I hear somebody jamming the blues in a blues rock style, not house rockin' blues, but blues rock, slow stuff, with long drawn out guitar solos, I freaking just go into, it's like I'm just like a freaking beam of energy is going through the top of my head, down through every freaking chakra, grounding into the ground, and I'm like a tuning fork, just, you know, just, I mean, I close my eyes and I'm in utter bliss at that show, and I can do that with my rig, and that's what I'm after. That's what I do for people, regardless of your damn. You don't need $1 million. You don't need 100,000. I can do it for you, man. You can make a nice near field rig where you sit in a chair and you put the speakers close to you, and you have a nice little tube amp and a killer little DAC, and you can have that same sonic nirvana, that same goosebump chills in a near field way. You know, there's ways to do that. So don't think that you need all the money. Look, I'm music before gear. But I know the way. I came up. I started out with the dead-on receiver, man. Then my first piece, I remember, a Deckware piece, and I shed a tear listening to Jerry Garcia, you know. But the Deckware just never had enough power. It couldn't power anything, you know. And it was like, then I tried some Pentode tubes, you know, and it was like, whoa, you know, wow, power, you know, oomph, crunch, drums, you know, and it was like, you know, and then the rest is history, man. Now I'm in a sonic chamber that's like you might as well have dropped a tab of acid before you go in there, because you're going to lose your mind. You turn out the light and it's like, and you see the glow of all the stuff, and it's like, seriously, it's a transcendental experience. It's like if you do meditation, you do meditation, instant like theta waves or whatever, like instantly you're in serious deep meditation instantly from that. So that's the cuckoo audiophile that you see right here, the guy, okay? And I'm a dealer, and I have more heart and experience than most sellers. Oh yeah, another thing about OCD HiFi people that you know, how you'll know when you meet an OCD HiFi people, is we make our own shit to test theories. When we hear something like this, something good, oh really? Well, let me frickin' make one. We make one, okay? If we don't know how to make it, we hire someone to make it for us. Because we want to test the theory. Because we're into it that much, okay? And then we tell our other freak OCD HiFi guy, Shane, that we talk to about the shit we made, and how you got to see Shane someday, you know? I mean, talk about he doesn't give a shit about, you know, anything that people tell you it's supposed to be like. Like, he's got the most weird setup you've ever seen in your life, and I have to go listen to it sometime, because he's been to my rig and listened, and he still claims, like, I've got to come and listen to his. So I'm going to do it someday. I'm going to travel there, and I'm going to sit with Shane, and I'm going to check out his trip. And his trip is different than anybody else's, man. And this guy comes from a family of inventors. So I understand, I do too. And so I'd love to hear what he's got to do. But we, as OCD Hi-Fi people, we're like, screw you. Let's try our own shit. Let me try that theory. Let me see if it really works that way. Let me try a speaker on the fucking ceiling, pointing down. Let me try some subwoofer under my ass. And then in an egg chair with speakers all on the walls and fiber optics and shit, so that the music can change the colors and shit like that. I mean, it's like, that's what we do as OCD Hi-Fi freaks. We make our own shit. And a lot of times it's epic beyond things that you can buy. And so we know when some company is full of it and when somebody's not. Another thing, a final thing about how you definitely know if you're an OCD Hi-Fi guy or not, or if you know one, is we do not judge value of pieces of gear by the name of the brand at all. We judge it by the type of circuit and the build details. That's it. So I can have a guy tell me I've got a single-ended triode amplifier that uses Western Electric 300Bs. I've got a silver wound output transformer and, silver wound choke on the input for the power supply. It uses, point-to-point wiring using, they can describe the build details. That's what means something to me. Telling me I have a freaking, and then giving me some name, Constellation or TNA or freaking whatever, some fucking name. It's like, it doesn't matter to me. It's just, it's I don't care about the damn name. They could be stupid. Just because they have a name and they sell stuff for 25 grand, they could still be stupid to me. It doesn't mean they're smart. Doesn't mean they know how to build a circuit. So if you tell me how a circuit's designed or how a circuit's built, that means way more to me. If you tell me, look, I've got a thing that's a dual differential, I've got an amplifier that's dual differential. It's got complete mono power supplies, 2 power cords, and, and you just describe things like, that's how we talk to one another, OCD Hi-Fi guys. We do not use name brands. We talk about the circuit build and what it's like, because usually it's a one-off anyways. So if we say the name of who made it, it's really could be anything, So that's another sign of an OCD Hi-Fi person is we talk about the circuit design as a way to size up what kind of a rig someone has. You just tell me what circuit you've got, and I'll know where you're at with Hi-Fi by the circuit. And if you don't know the circuit, that tells me where you're at too. If you do know the circuit, then I'm going to scrutinize what circuit you chose and make a decision at that point where you're at. And I'll ask a couple questions about it, to feel how, if you just are parroting something that you read, the spec sheet, or if you really know or are into it. We understand circuits. OCD Hi-Fi guys understand the circuits, as well as, the name brands or whatever, but we don't like the name brands. We want the one-off stuff. So I know that's a lot of shit. A lot of stuff there, but it gives you sort of an idea of how to divvy things up, okay? Don't do the OCD Hi-Fi things if you're over here at number 3, because you're going to just drive yourself nuts. You're going to be worried about the cost of things. You're going to be, it's going to be too much, and you'll end up unhappy. You're going to have stepped into a realm that's uncomfortable for you. People are going to be talking to you in circuit language, and you're going to be like, what are you talking about? So stay within your lanes and you'll be happier. You can do whatever the hell you want. Look, you can jump all over the place, but I just know from experience of dealing with you guys, the most happy people and how they get there. And look, you need to trust. I can't even say it enough times. You need to trust one person. You need to do your background check on them. Ask them questions. You know how many dealers there are that they've only been doing this a couple years? That's it. They don't know anything. Ask them what kind of rig. They could have a killer rig at home. They could have $100,000, $200,000 rig at home, but they've just been doing this They don't, they haven't been setting up rigs their whole life. They haven't been setting up rigs for 20 years like I have at shows in all sorts of weird freaking hotel rooms, making them sound best sounding show. There's a proven track record, and it's on the internet, for people to see. So choose your person wisely, stick with that person, learn your discipline, judo, kempo, whatever it is. Learn your discipline, stick with your sensei, stay in that dojo, and you will get there, guaranteed. All right? See you.